Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and welcome to the morning show where we do Q&A and general magic discussion. You want your questions to be answered? Please leave them in the comments section in the chat with 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question. Help me find your questions in the sea of comments. And also, we do deck list review. So in the second part, if you've got a 75 that you want some feedback on, help the mana base, help the win condition, try to beat that bad matchup, you better believe you can submit it here and get that feedback both from myself and the community. All of us combined, we're unstoppable. So brew up that cup of coffee and let's brew up the discussion. Welcome to Coffee and MTG for January 6, 2021. So welcome and good morning to everyone. And please let me know if the sound sounds good. This is my new microphone. I spent basically a lot of time yesterday tinkering with it, making it work, and I had some technical difficulties getting it online to this morning. But let me know how this sounds. Like, if I don't know, for all I know, there is no sound at all. But anyway, good morning, Benjamin. Good morning, Stephen, and good morning, Grim Ducky. I'm sure this is going to be live soon. People are just trying. I realized you guys go through like a pretty big delay. Like it might be like 10 to 15 seconds long. Sounds good. Everything sounds good. Excellent. Fantastic. This new microphone's not easy to set up. We're pro now. We're pro. We've gone pro. Your voice sounds better. Sounds like a podcast mic. This is the best mic. This is like the mic that all the big shots use. I decided to upgrade to this thing. Blew a lot of money. It's a lot of money for the microphone. Then you find out that you need something called a cloud lifter and a amplifier, and then just tax on a bunch of other stuff. But it's worth it, especially since I'm loud. I am a very loud content creator, and I peak all the time on my microphone, and sometimes I have to hold my voice back. I have to hold my voice back because it's going to sound terrible if I yell too loud. But I can yell as loud as I want on this microphone, no peaking. That is the genius of it. So it's super new. Well, it's not new technology. This microphone's actually 50 years old. It's hilarious. Hilariously old microphone. Anyway, good morning, Lord Magicus. Spoiler season starts tomorrow, except we've already been quite spoiled, haven't we, chat? Haven't we? We've been getting. I mean, spoiler season might as well start the moment that they put the cards in the packs, just so that things don't actually get unofficially leaked. You know what I mean? So I'm sure there's gonna be tons of stuff to talk about tomorrow. That's for sure. As the spoilers roll out too. Good morning, Frederick. Good morning, Steven. Good morning, Shock Onion. Morning, Fish Fam. Yes, welcome to all my Fish Fam. Thank you very much, Armus. So long as it sounds good. I opened up the stream and then the microphone wasn't working. And I had to restart the computer. But looks like everything's working now. The technical difficulties are behind us, so we can move forward with Coffee and MTG. So actually, I don't have anything really new to report. The next we might have to start looking at vintage for a little while. What goes on in vintage? I have no idea what's going on in vintage, because here's the deal. The Mana Traders series is going to feature vintage for the first time, and for the first time in a long time, vintage staples are moving up on Magic the Gathering Online. Don't worry. Black Lotus is not $10,000 on Magic the Gathering Online. Black Lotus is quite affordable on Magic the Gathering Online. In fact, if you got it 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, it was $3. I don't think it's $3 right now. Blue Xerox. Xerox is a really old school name for a deck. Golo Stacks. Wow, look, 2019, 2020 cards. Underworld Breach 2019-2020 cards still making their way into vintage. And Dredge, of course, the classic, basically the affinity or the Dredge. I want to say it's the affinity of Dredge. Of vintage, but you could also just say it's the Dredge of vintage, which is just as accurately named. Look, it's the same crap. It's not a whole lot of different stuff. Oh, look, you got one. Is this restricted? Is Dredge so OP that they have to restrict Golgari Grave Troll? I guess so. There's no the proof is in the pudding right there. One Golgari Grave Troll, but of course this deck is super online because of Bazaar of Baghdad. You can It's a land, doesn't add any mana, but who gives a fuck about that? You draw 2 cards, and then you discard 3 cards. Well, that is pretty good synergy. I mean, the only thing that would make this card better is like discard 3 cards, then draw 2 cards. But basically, you get to draw cards and then dump all your dredgers, and away you go. 34K in paper. Yeah, look at these paper prices. Look at these paper prices. $33,000. And I'm assuming that's near mint, of course. Near mint prices, people. You could probably get a deal on this. If you get slightly played, you could probably get this thing for 20 grand. You know, you don't need that car, that luxury car. Just go get yourself a blue Xerox deck. Underworld Breach, $35,000. Golo Stacks, $56,000. That's a down payment on a house. All of these are down payments on a house. What is the most expensive deck here? Ravager Shops. This is probably, I bet all the money is in, well, some money is in Black Lotus at $11,692. But Mishra's Workshop, whoa, is this more than, no, it's not more than Black Lotus, but it's a good amount of money. $25,000 in Mishra's Workshop. The day that they restrict this card, the vintage community is going to flip the table with all their Mishra's Workshops on it. But anyway, Vintage. I have a feeling if you've been playing Vintage for a while, you're very in tune with Vintage. You're going to have a massive advantage in this tournament. A lot of people are going to flood into Vintage, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I think this is a really high variance BS format, but still, like any other format, if you know it, you're going to have an edge, and there's no way in 1 month people are going to be, you know, they're going to gain enough experience to give themselves, you know, catch up to everyone who's been playing this format for years. So anyone who's been playing this format for a while, big advantage. Good morning, Nicholas. I had a Hogak deck, and when he and Bridge got banned, it kind of had nothing to do with what was left of my deck. Any suggestions? Yes, there is okay, so you got Hogak. You could try Zombies. You could, well, that still takes a lot of cards. The easiest way to put your deck back into Modern is to play the no-Gak deck, the basically Hogak-less Bridge-Vine deck. That's great. It's Bridge. No, there's no Bridge in here. Vine. What is the card called? And where's a list that we can find for here? There was a succeeding list afterwards, but the problem is it's almost an irrelevant portion of the metagame, but it is still a deck. Maybe we can find it in the dark crevices of Magic MTG Goldfish. If anyone has links, I can't click them, unfortunately. Let's go to the second page with where the real rubbish lies. Oh, fuck. Merfolk is second to last on here. Well, that's not good news. Wow, this the white-red boom and bust pawns. Whoops, no one can see what I'm doing. The white-red Ponza deck is beating Merfolk in metagame share. But again, some Emery decks are down here, so nothing to be ashamed of. I don't see it. Hogak, or sorry, could we find no-Gak? No-Gak, MTG Goldfish. Because it plays with most of the cards. Here we go. Okay, so this is your best bet, Nicholas. No one really plays the, oh, I don't even know if the, yeah, this is about it. So you got your 4 Gravecrawler. They play with Hedron Crab. Which landfall, you get to dump lands. So the idea is you play lands, you dump stuff into your graveyard. You can play Merfolk Secret Keeper to dump even more cards into your graveyard. Still playing with Stitcher Supplier, Narcomoebas, Prized Amalgams, Vengevines, Gurmag Angler. I don't know what the newest version of this deck would be, because maybe this deck could get better. Because the new Crab just came out, right? Oh no, but it only mills your opponent's cards. That's the problem. The new Crab is useless to this archetype. But this is your best bet. I will give you a link. This is the best way. Here, no-Gak. So this is the best way for you to take all the cards from that Hogak Modern. That was a very dangerous deck, by the way, to buy into. When there is a tier 0 deck, So just a little bit of advice to everyone. If there's a tier 0 deck in the metagame, it's gonna get banned. And well, I mean, you can assume that I think you can assume that there was going to be some sort of variation after the banning because it still has a lot of the good cards, right? You can still, with between Hedron Crab and Merfolk Secret Keeper to mill yourself, you can still have busted starts. That still exists. You still have Creeping Shells and all those other things. So that synergy is still there. You get to still use all the other cards, Gravecrawler, Vengevine. So I guess there was a superseding list. It just didn't stand the test of time, or maybe people have just completely ignored this thing. I don't know if it's worth coming back, but this is definitely a way you could use your old cards, just throw in some adjustments, Hedron Crab, Merfolk Secret Keeper, and boom, you got a deck again. So I hope that was hope that's useful. What's your take on Ad Nauseam? Hate, love, etc. I mean, I think it's a good deck. I think it's a good deck, relatively well positioned, eats up the prowess decks apparently very, very well, and that's all I have to say about it. I don't mind playing against it. I find the matchups are usually pretty balanced, pending how much counter magic I have. If I have a lot of counter magic, I can usually have an edge, especially if I'm running Chalice of the Void. But aside from that, I think it's a good, healthy combo deck in the metagame. It's one of the combo decks that I can never hate because they never win like on turn 3. That never happens. Ad Nauseam is a fucking slow combo deck. It will get there pretty consistently, but it's a pretty slow combo deck. I mean, I can't hate on this. I can hate on a lot of combo decks, but this deck will say they're going to give me a chance. They're going to give me a chance. It's up to me. Can I make the most of it? I'm going to have a chance in this game. I'm going to play my lands. I'm going to play my spells. But can I stop what they're doing? Because they're going to say, like, immediately with their Serum Visions into their Pented Prism, what they're up to. Good morning. Good morning, Jingle Long Ears. Bazaar of Baghdad is busted? Yes. Hence why we don't see it in Legacy. Is Spirits viable in Legacy? Good question. Never seen it. Maybe no one's tried. There's a lot of innovation available in Legacy. I don't know. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm curious to know what spirits are available in Legacy that we don't have in Modern and Pioneer. I'm very curious. But brutally honest, I don't think anyone's tried. I don't even think anyone's ever tried to look at what kind of spirits build can we make in Legacy. And maybe there is something. People have tried humans to some reasonable success, and there is a humans deck in Legacy, and maybe someone should do the same with spirits. And there's a lot of good spirits. Rattle Chains is good. Maybe the problem is the 3-drop lords. That's probably the biggest problem. 3 mana is a lot for Legacy, but it's probably still possible. You just have to aggressively fetch the basics in the deck, and it's not going to be too bad because Spirits doesn't use a lot of double white, double blue cards. It's a lot of 1 white, 1 blue, and generic. There's a lot of generic mana in the casting cost, so fetching out basics seems very, very viable in Legacy. But I don't know anyone who's tried. You use Basking, Rootwaller, and Bazaar to spam Vengevines. That's pretty sick tech. Is Mox Opal banned in Vintage? It is not. It is not the most egregious Mox in that format. Oh, that was the name. Yeah, Crabvine. Totally forgot about that. Geez, the only thing I hate on Ad Nauseam is Angel's Grace, but that's part of its combo. That's the deal. You deal no damage. Are there any viable zombie decks in Modern? There is. There is a blue-black zombie deck. Let me just look up Aspiring Spike. Maybe I can find his list that he 5-0'd with. Not exactly his list. It was a Dono deck. It's going to show up. Very recent. Ugh, why can't we be on MTG Goldfish? Ooh, I think this is it. Excellent. So, and this has not been explored enough. He went 5-0 and I think 4-1. No, I think he went back-to-back 5-0s with this deck list. So Carrion Feeder, and it was a donation deck. If you're the inventor, let me know in the comment section below. I know the person who made this deck is a frequent patron of Coffee and MTG. So Carrion Feeder, Crypt Breaker, Gravecrawler, Soul Diviner, very unique tech in this deck because for a blue and a black, you have a 2/3 creature, not a bad body. 2/3 creature, not bad for 2 mana. You can tap, remove a counter from an artifact, creature, or land or planeswalker you control to draw a card. So you have Aether Vial in this deck, so you can start cashing in those counters on your Aether Vial, which is a very unique tech, but also, you know, when Geralf's Messenger gets undying, comes back on the battlefield, you can then remove that counter and then it can get undying again in the future. So very interesting techie card. Undead Augur. And here's the deal. So this deck is so good because things happen when they ETB and things happen when they die. So you always get some sort of value in the face of a, like Jund had no chance against Jund. You wipe your ass with Jund with this deck. I'm telling you that right now. And I mean, I'm pretty sure you would just murder Death Shadow so long as they don't like team or battle rage you to death. But you know, Undead Augur, whenever Undead Augur or another zombie you control dies, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Like, okay, if you kill this, who cares? It comes back. Carrion Feeder. Well, actually, there's no value in these ones upon death, but Diregraphed Captain, Death Touch, a Lord, +1/+1 to all the other zombies. Whenever another zombie you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life. So that's already back-breaking for a lot of people, and that's what, if you get Diregraphed Captain or Plague Belcher on the battlefield, it has a similar effect. Whenever another zombie you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. You then start creating these sort of combos with Carrion Feeder and Gravecrawler. You sack creatures, they lose life, bring them back, sack, bring them back, sack your board, kill your opponent. When Diregraphed Captain or Plague Belcher's on the battlefield, it's really tough for the opponent. Geralf's Messenger, ETB, opponent loses 2 life. And when you're sacking this thing with Diregraphed Captain, your opponent's just losing tons, huge chunks of life. Murderous Rider, you know, the thing that removes creatures. The deck interestingly played Village Rites, 1 mana, draw 2 cards. You have to sacrifice a creature, but a lot of these creatures you want to sacrifice anyway. 4 Fatal Push, 2 Agadeem's Awakening, 4 Cavernous Souls, 2 Dark Slick Shores, Polluted Delta, Swamp, Watery Grave. 2 Bloodchief's Thirst on the sideboard. I think this is a really good choice. 4 Thoughtseize, 3 Damping Sphere, 3 Dragon's Claw, 3 Plague Engineer. So anyway, yeah, very underrated archetype. He did very well. I think the only problem is this deck does not race other decks very well. It's a slower deck, but it will grind out removal big time, and I think has a good matchup against attrition, good matchup versus control. Might have some problems against really fast aggro and combo, which might be a problem in today's metagame because there is a lot of that. A lot of combo in the metagame at the moment. But maybe you can adjust the sideboard. I mean, you have access to black, so you have access to like more hand disruption if you really need it. We have Elvish Spirit Guide for Legacy, yes. What's your opinion on classic blue-white control? It is great to deck, but the problem is Uro's in the format. So, I mean, they all lose to the Uro decks, more or less. They all lose to the Uro decks. Everything loses to Uro. Got to readjust myself here. Does this work? Oh, yeah, this works. Okay. I got so used to a certain... My old microphone took up my field of vision on my computer in a certain way, and now this new microphone is taking away other portions of my field of vision. Now that Eldrazitron has waned, is there an opening for Isochron Scepter control? Probably not. Isochron Scepter is like... It's just not that good. You invest a lot of like effort into this Isochron Scepter, and... Like, what do you want to even put on the Isochron Scepter? I don't think they're like Eldrazitron is sort of a new deck. It's only been around for like, I mean, well, it's been really prominent over the last 2 years, but it's been around. It has been around a little bit longer than that, but like it wasn't around for forever. And Isochron Scepter was never a big card. So I don't know why Eldrazitron disappearing would make this card more viable. Trying to make mono green devotion work. Thoughts on Savage Summoning? Mono green devotion. Okay, can't be countered. Next creature card you cast this turn can be cast as though it had flash. That spell can't be countered. That creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Don't like the card because it is card disadvantage. You are spending a card to get this creature out. I would rather, if let's say you're trying to protect yourself from removal spells, probably you should just have Veil of Summer. So you cast the creature. If they try to counter it, you Veil of Summer. It gets countered. It gets countered, and you draw a card. And also this protects you from blue spot removal or blue bounce spells, and also black spot removal, so it's actually more viable. So I think Veil of Summer is just infinitely better than Savage Summoning for what you want. I mean, the only thing this gives you is that you can cast the creature with Flash. I don't think the +1/+1 counter matters very much if you're trying to be a Devotion deck. I saw a few people play Spirits in Legacy before. It didn't seem like the dumbest thing you could do, but that was before Uro. Uro certainly sets the bar pretty high in every format, doesn't it? That's why they got it banned in Standard. It's good enough to be banned in Standard. The format everyone plays, of course. Not. Do you think Art Like Phoenix is any good with Merchant of the Veil instead of Faithless Looting, or is it too inconsistent? It's probably fine with Merchant of the Veil. But what does the rest of the deck look like? That's the problem. So I think, it's probably fine with Merchant of the Veil. 1 red, discard the card. Like I think this is very reasonable. I think this is very reasonable, but it's the rest of the deck that matters. And I have to say, like the old Arclight Phoenix decks, even if you gave them Faithless Looting, I don't know if it would look the same today. I don't know if Thing in the Ice is the card that it used to be. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you're bouncing anymore, if that's that relevant in the format. I think there are more answers to this card at the moment. Like, more people would be playing Flame Slash today than they were in the past. We now have more black removal in the form of Blood Chief's Thirst. I think Thing in the Ice would get pushed back by quite a bit. So the real question is, so does this combo with Arclight Phoenix pretty well? I think so. I agree. But what does the rest of the deck work? But maybe you got something brewing up. So yeah, I can get behind Merchant of the Veil. It's a cheap card, and also it's like a 2-for-1 because you get a second copy of it. You get a second spell attached to this. Morning, David. Came back to your streams after a 2-month hiatus because I was doing your thesis. Hope university is going well for you. Could be going better. Now I'm trying to get up to speed with the modern meta. Well, you haven't missed much. It's basically the same shithole it was before. If you consider it a shithole, that is. It's interesting. The camera makes it look like there's so much distance between the microphone and my face, but it is right up. It's so close. It's so close to me. I could like eat it. I'm not moving very far. Whatever. Just some observation. The microphone looks much further away on camera than what it actually is in real life. Good morning. You think the card brought back can see modern play? You can get 2 fetches back or a bauble. You think the card brought back? I've never heard of this card. So brought back double white, choose up to 2 target permanent cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn, return them to the battlefield. I think can it see modern play? Absolutely. I think the effect is very powerful. I think it's very strong, but I doubt it would be for 2 fetches or a bauble. I think that's pretty weak interaction. I'm sure there is a much stronger interaction to be found with this card. 2 target permanent cards put in your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, return them to the battlefield tapped. Like, imagine something enormous. I'm trying to think, like, what is like a way of cheating spells onto the battlefield and they die at end of turn, and instead you can like bring them back instantly anyway. I'm not exactly sure. I can't think of one exactly, but like I can't think of an example. But I think for the purposes like there are better ways of ramping, for example, with fetch lands. Like Explore does a better job than that. You draw a card, you put a land onto the battle, you still get the extra land drop on the battlefield, because this is like this is like a 2-for-1, right? You get like 2 cards. So I think there is potential in the card, but not through fetches and baubles. I think that's we're not thinking big enough here. We're not thinking big enough. You're welcome, Nicholas. Is Blue-White's control still good, or should I go Jeskai or Sulta? I think Blue-White just doesn't have enough. Jeskai might be in the same boat, but like you can still play the deck. And you can still have success with the deck. And I have to tell you, the leagues online, they're all over the fucking place. I mean, it's the meta game is so diverse online, it's insane. So you could very likely play Blue-White control, Jeskai control to very good success online. Aspiring Spike's been playing a lot of Jeskai control to tons of 4-1s and 5-0s. Nothing's stopping him. So play what you like, and you definitely can have a lot of success with it. Lightning Helix on the Scepter seems good. Well, I don't think it's good enough. You're also, not to mention that this is like a 2-for-1 waiting to happen. So if you like, I mean, there's not too much artifact destruction right now, but basically if you play Isochron Scepter, exile your Lightning Helix, and they blow up the Scepter, you get nothing. Or they go Pithing Needle or something named Scepter, and then you get even more screwed. Recently got rocked by Boggles transitioning into Infect sideboard from Magic Aids. Could this be a promising real deck? Very unlikely. Very, very, very unlikely. I have no idea how he transformed it. But I mean, like, basically, I mean, I know Magic Aids makes a lot of videos with a lot of interesting brews, but I mean, the only results I take seriously are the things that like end up like in big tournaments. Magic Aids comes up with a new idea every week. Not all of them are modern playable. The Humans one was. I feel like with all the land destruction in the format, Mono Green Tron is in a bad spot. Am I wrong? You're not wrong, but I don't think land destruction is Tron's biggest problem, because Tron's been fighting through land destruction for forever. Now, Cleansing Wildfire is turning the tides, because that's land destruction on turn 2. But I think its biggest problem right now is just being raced by other fast decks. I think that's Tron's biggest fear, that, you know, Tron wants to play against mid-range decks, wants to play against control decks. You want to play it slow? Okay, we can play it slow, but I'm going to have 7 mana. You're not going to have that much mana. And there's just too many like really fast decks and combo decks in the format, and I don't think Tron's very happy about playing against any of those things. Not to mention, I do believe the Uro decks, because of Growth Spiral, because of Uro, they can actually compete on mana with Tron. Simic taking turns with Uro in Modern, just what the doctor ordered? That's possible. I mean, like, maybe we haven't jammed enough Uro in every single deck. Every deck that played blue or green, we got to play Uro in it. Good morning, Mobile. Do you think Eldrazitron would raise again if Uro gets banned? I am getting sort of good results at my local game store where no one is using it. I think like Eldrazitron is still a fine deck right now, but everything is going to get better when Uro gets banned. I think you could say Eldrazitron is one of the bigger winners, because they're sort of that somewhat mid-rangey of a deck. They're not super explosive or anything like that. And I think the Uro decks, they feast on decks like this. I think Modern Horizons 2 could shake up the metagame a lot. I'm hoping Counterspell comes out. I'm also hoping Counterspell comes out. I have no idea how they're going to shake up the format. Are they going to print Rished Import? But I mean, obviously, it will absolutely shake things up. I mean, throwing like 30 cards into the pool all at once, that's a big deal. I mean, it was a huge game. Maybe it wasn't a huge game changer immediately. I mean, it was a game changer, but like Hogak just sucked the fun out of the format. It's like, okay, play Hogak or play nothing. All right. And it wasn't until Hogak got banned that we actually could see what the metagame really was. I mean, Oko couldn't even survive in that metagame. Oko! Oh, no, Oko wasn't legal at that time. Ooh. We need to unban Hogak to see if Oko would beat it. Maybe Wizards printed Hogak knowing Oko was there to save the format later. But then they banned that card too. Do you think Reign of Gore can be a good counter against Uro decks? I can't. You're gonna have to look up the Burnmaster interview that we had here. If a spell or ability would, that player loses that much life instead instant enchantment. I can't remember if he played Reign of Gore or if he thought he was worth. This question was asked, but I don't remember the answer. I want to say that he thought that the Vortex was better, but I'm not sure. Maybe this card was just fine. It's a black-red enchantment. If a spell or ability would cause a controller to gain life, that player loses that much life instead. I want to say maybe it was worth it if you go the Rakdos colors. Oh yeah, I forgot about Antifa Lockhart. It's Lockhart's zombie list. Yes. Should I do a minor spec purchase of Arclight Phoenix? Nikachu has 4 Arclight Phoenixes on Magic the Gathering Online. I'll just tell you that much. I just bought 4. I don't want to spend a lot of money, but you know what? Like, I looked at that Vengevine graph and I'm like, I don't want to miss out on like the next potential Vengevine. No one gives a shit about Arclight Phoenix, but the fact that it's like 3 ticks makes me feel like a lot of other people are in the same boat. Because like, where else does this card see play? Like basically nowhere. Or does it see? Maybe it sees play in Pioneer for all I know. I do own 4 Arclight Phoenixes though. By the way, I'm not a huge spec. My portfolio is 150 Tidebinder Mages, 4 Arclight Phoenixes. I'm not specking on a whole lot of cards. I'm just gambling on that one. I'm gambling on that one. This is a good time to take a delicious sip of my coffee. Welcome everyone to Coffee and MTG. I hope the sound is better. Hopefully this is now a little bit more professional. Question, can you hear the banging outside? I don't know if you can hear it or not. Hopefully you don't. I can't remember if I'm on here with RTX voice or not, because I want to test it with both. I think without RTX voice, you could still hear it. Maybe with it on, you can't. This delicious coffee. We have a really good conversation so far this morning. No banging today. A soft pulsing, so you can hear it. Some people can hear it, some people can't. Some people with headphones probably. I can hear it. I should actually put my. I don't even have any music running through this, but at least it noise cancellations out the stupid sound. No ceiling fan here. All right, get back to the questions. Just gonna find. By the way, it helps me find your questions if you're using 3 like, be like. Where is it? Yay tacos. 3 question marks before the question and 3 question marks afterwards. Helps me find your question among all the questions. We got people from YouTube, 2 YouTube channels. We have people from Facebook joining us this morning. Love it. Hey, Nikachu, what makes a card good? I know card advantage is important, but is there anything else that makes a card good? Yeah, interaction. How well does it interact? So here's a particular advantage that certain cards have in Magic. How well does it interact with other cards, and how well does it dodge interaction from other cards? Keep that in mind. How well, like Death Shadow, for example. It interacts favorably against other creatures because it's just way bigger than anything else in general. Let's get Death Shadow. So, I mean, I'm just pulling a random card out of here. So what makes Death Shadow a good card? Okay, first off, it's very mana efficient. That's good. But it's favorable against other creatures because it'll almost always be bigger than everything else. Even a Primeval Titan. It would be a 10/10 creature. Primeval Titan can't get through this creature. It also, as a result, dodges a lot of removal in the form of burn spells. So lightning bolts are offline, flame slashes, lava darts, everything. It's all garbage. So it against a certain range of decks, Death Shadow just creams them really hard. And against, well, I mean, but basically that's it. That's what makes like a card good, is when it favorably interacts with other cards. And that's one aspect, I should say. Other aspects, mana efficiency. I mean, that's another reason. The less the card costs, the better it is generally for you. Some exceptions to the rule. If your cards all cost 1 mana, you can be weak to Chalice of the Void. You can be weak to Engineered Explosives. But generally speaking, if you can play more cards per turn than your opponent does, you should be coming out ahead, especially if they are just as powerful as the cards your opponents are playing. So hope, I mean, there's more things that make a card good, but I hope that was some few things that keep some food for thought for you. Mikey J with a chess question. If you guys don't know, I am a chess master. We can take a little break for chess. I wanted to start reading chess books. Is there a good batting out batting order to start out. You may not like it because there's no words in it, but like, what is it? Chess book problems on Laszlo Pogar. At least when I started playing, it's called the Big Book. This is what I got. It has no words in it. It's just chess puzzles. That's all it is. It's checkmates, checkmates in 2, checkmates in 1, checkmates in 2, checkmates in 3. I can't really recommend this book in the modern day because with the internet, you have access to better like chess puzzles. But when you're starting out, I would say just watch chess videos if you want to learn strategy. Almost anyone should do. But the most important thing you got to do when you're like learning is, or like when you're starting out, is you have to solve chess problems. You need to get used to calculation. Up until you get to a rating of 1800, all your wins and losses are going to come from downright blunders of like hanging pieces, hanging bishops. You lose a pawn because you weren't paying attention to it. You hang your queen because you didn't see the knight attacking it. All your games are going to be determined by that. So you have to grind through time. And the best way, you got to dedicate 15 to 30 minutes a day solving problems, and then you train your brain to find the patterns. You're going to find the patterns when the opportunity arises for you, and you're going to find the patterns when your opponent's trying to play them against you. That's my best recommendation. In terms of books, I didn't go through a lot of books. Like I did a lot of puzzles, but then I would, if I were to start off again, I would start off with Understanding Chess Middle Games. I don't know what grandmasters recommend, but this is what I would read by John Nunn. That's my recommendation. Each page of the book is a really simple explanation to a particular middle game position. And you'll learn the opening through this as well. You don't need to know like the openings deeply. It's not that important. You just need to know that you have to move your pieces out and develop them. That's basically about it. Hope that's helpful. If you're looking for a place for brought back, perhaps Sneak Attack would work. Yeah, but Sneak Attack's not modern legal. I bet. And then you probably, at that point, if you're talking about Legacy, there's more busted things you can do. Why is Twiddle Storm not played anymore? It's probably a less reliable version of Storm, to be honest. But maybe the Storm players could answer that. I personally cannot answer that question. I don't know. I don't know the nuances of Storm enough to say why one Storm deck is better than another one. But I will say that playing against it, Twiddle Storm seems like an absolute pain in the ass to play. It might take longer to win, whereas like Gift Storm is easy to play. It's really quick. There's like just certain patterns. You go boom, 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 boom. Gifts Ungiven, get these certain cards. Oh, Past in Flames, Ritual, I win. So it's probably a way better deck to grind the leagues, and it's more like, let's say for example, Twiddle Storm, in theory, let's just speculate, it was just a little bit better than Gift Storm, just in theory. I don't know if that's true, but let's just say it was. I doubt it's that much more if it is better. There's no fucking way you would want to grind leagues with this deck, given that it takes 2 to 3 times more time, like more effort time to combo off. Like it's awful. So it's just not worth your time. It's just better off to play the Gifts deck. I would not be surprised if the Gifts deck is just better because, they do have Gifts Ungiven, which is a tutor. Well, ultra fast red decks could get better unless they start printing the real hosers. Like Chill. When are we going to see Chill? Fuck, give us Chill. A blue and a generic. Red spells cost 2 more to cast. Only 1 blue. Feast your eyes, everyone, including the Infect decks. Infect would fucking be all over this, I think. I think they would like this. You want a Lava Dart? It's going to cost you 3. Or cost you 2 in a land. Which of the Rakdos decks do you think is better situated in Modern? Prowess, Mid-range, or Shadow? Probably the Mid-range. Mid-range For what? Actually, they're both mid-range and Shadow are pretty close. The Prowess version seems to not be as good as. Well, I mean, the Prowess version, Rakdos Prowess is like basically Shadow. It just evolved to the Shadow deck. It's Shadow with like a Swift Spear, basically, because Swift Spear is fast enough to. I understand now why they have Swift Spear and Bomac Courier, because getting out on turn 1 to attack your opponent, get their life total to 19, opens the opportunity to play Scourge of the Skyclaves on turn 2. So, yeah, that's the reason. But mid-range and Shadow are really, really close. Would not be so. I mean, it would come down to your play style. I imagine that I still like Shadow because, like, it's just proactive. You can potentially try to kill an an opponent before they, get their game going on, whereas mid-range might suffer against Uro decks. But I don't know either of the matchups well enough to say where one is advantaged over the other in the metagame. What do you think of Winds of Change in Modern? If printed in Modern Horizons 2, is it even good enough at this point? The Winds of Change. Is it any different from the Winds of Shit? All right, each player shuffles the cards from his or her hand into his or her library, then draws that many cards. Whoa! Would that see play? Each player shuffles the cards from his or her hand into his or her library. That would probably see play. Well, is there anything similar to this right now in Modern? I want to say Dredge would play this. I'm not entirely sure. But, Life from the Loam, Winds of Change, away all your lands. Okay, Dredge my whole deck. Not to mention you put all the lands on the bottom, right? No, you shuffled them. Okay, well, whatever. I imagine this would see play. And I would not want to see it. I would not want to see this card see print. This looks fucking scary to me. This is very, very scary to me. I don't like the idea. No, 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 no. Don't do it. Let's not put this card into Modern. Please, no. Please, no. Save us. Okay, guess what time it is, people? It's time for Decklist review. So I have a link in the description to my Discord. Click on it. Click the link. Get funneled into there. Go to the channel, Decklist review, and then you can use the command !review deck, space, give the URL, all in one sentence, people, and then press enter, and then you will be eligible at random to be chosen for Decklist review. It says you're in a queue. It's all bullshit. I choose you all at random. I have the power here, people. Not this nonsense. So yeah, so you can be chosen at random, and while everyone is keep this on, but while everyone is submitting their deck list, we are going to start by thanking our sponsors like themanabase.com, the content site for historic, modern, standard, and more. The Manabase is your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And the Manabase is sponsored by Fusion Gaming Online, my favorite local game store. Canadian local game store, and the deal of the week this week. Save up to 15% off all Modern Horizon singles and sealed products. So if you're looking for those Horizon lands that you didn't get, maybe you can want to save some money on Force and Negations because the digital ones look pretty stupid expensive. Go check them out at fusiongamingonline.com. And you always want to check them every single week to see what the new deal is, because there's a new deal every single week. And we're also going to thank our sponsor, Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. And if you want to try out your new deck idea in the Magic Online format against other players, you can do so with Mana Traders without dedicating yourself to the deck, and rent the tools to the deck, tune it card by card with a rental service like Mana Traders. And you can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can save 15% off your first 3 months using my coupon code Nikachu. All right, so what crazy things you have for me today, people? What crazy deck lists? Mechanical error. Heh. Oh, is this you, Lockhart? Because this is zombies. Zombies. Hold on, where am I? Let's get back to the chat. Okay, so we got so it looks very similar to like the other builds: Carrion Feeder, Crypt Breaker, Diregraft, Grolf's Messenger, Gravecrawler, Prized Amalgam, two Relentless Dead now. Okay, I think that's a new addition. Where is... Oh, this one's not running. The Thing. Okay, so lands 22, 2 Snow-Covered Island, Swamp, Castle Lochwain, Cavernous Souls, Dark Shores, Polluted Delta, Watery Grave. Do you need double blue in this deck for anything? I don't think so. Fatal Push, Agadim's Awakening. Okay, so you have 21 black sources, Smallpox. Very, you know what? This is an underrated card in Modern, but maybe it's overrated. I don't know how I feel about this card because it's well, I was no, okay. I'm gonna say Smallpox is underrated. Smallpox is underrated. Edicting things is overrated. Nihil Spellbomb, Pithing Needle, Lifebane Zombie, Plague Engineer, Collective Brutality, and 4 Thought Seizes. So zombies can constantly drain your opponent and come back from the graveyard all the time, all while being able to threaten the opponent with creatures. Many of the zombies are able to hit your opponent on different angles, all while having overall synergy with each other. Now, I still have this Aspiring Spike list to reference to. And by the way, this list has gone 5-0 twice. So it's sort of the real deal. You have a lot of similarities in this list. So first off, mana base is, I guess, is okay. You have 21 black sources, which is important to casting your Grolf's Messenger. And I actually don't mind you playing Smallpox in a list like this. You're going to get, you know, you have synergy with the rest of the deck. You've got really good clean numbers. I would prefer to see Aether Vial, but I don't know if Aether Vial is mandatory at all. Fatal Push. Yeah, okay. 4 fetches is better than nothing. I think 4 fetches will be okay. Nihil Spellbomb for the Uro decks is good. Pithing Needle is just an overall good card. I don't know about the Lifebane Zombie. Opponent reveals their hand, choose a green or white card. It might be well positioned, though, right? There's like a lot of green-white decks, like a lot of Titan decks. This might be very, very well positioned. Has Intimidate. Too bad it didn't have Pro White or something. Then they would be like really OP. Plague Engineer, Collective Brutality, Thoughtseize. Actually, I think this deck is really clean. Do you have enough 1-drops? 1, 1. The Fatal Pushes. Yeah, you have enough 1-drops. And you'll be bringing in like Thoughtseizes overall. A good deck. I think this is a good deck. It doesn't use Aether Vial. Like if there was, I would prefer to try to jam Aether Vial somewhere in here. Maybe reduce a land and another one, take out Relentless Dead or some of the Smallpox or something. Because I do think it's valuable in a world of the aggro decks. Like I don't know if there's any way that you can curve out to compete with them, but also it's good against Uro decks. Like you might be fine with this and just Cavernous Soul. Like Cavernous Souls and Nihil Spellbomb might be more than enough to beat Uro decks. I'm not going to lie. If you have like 2 out of 3 of like Graveyard Hate, Cavernous Souls, Aether Vial, Travel deck will beat Uro decks. But that's the only thing that I would consider squeezing in here. Maybe not mandatory. Another thing is like you're pretty chunky at 3 mana too. With the Prized Amalgam, the Grolf's Messenger, and the Diregraft Captain. Is there any way? And you can like and you can dump this thing. Anyway, I think it's a clean list. I think it's cool. I think it's good stuff. Do you need the double island though? So the only thing I might consider is chop an island off and just create like, I don't know, a 4th Fatal Push or something. Because you have 23 lands in the deck. I think you can go to 22. If you want to go to 23, okay, that's fine. You might need how many islands do you need? Okay, I didn't calculate that. You have 2, 6, 7, 8, 16. You have a lot of islands. I think you have a lot of islands. I don't know if the 2 islands are necessary. I think you can chop one off and add like another Relentless Dead or a Fatal Push. That's my take. And you'll like, because maximizing on double black all the time, because this is going to be a real beating when you draw it and when you really need to play Smallpox, when you really want to play your Geralf's Messenger. You're like heavy black on some cards, right? And you like it's gonna, you actually don't have that many blue cards. Like Diagraph Captain might be the only thing that requires blue. Like, let's be serious. Prized Amalgam may not always need blue because you'll discard that with Smallpox and whatnot. So Smallpox, Fatal Push. So you might be so heavy on. I don't mind having one island in the deck, but the second one seems actually unnecessary. So I would remove that. And aside from that, like the list looks really clean. I like that. Hopefully, and if Lifebane Zombie is good, you could consider removing Plague Engineer. There's just not that many tribal decks right now in the modern metagame. If tribal's in your metagame, wherever you're playing, keep the Plague Engineers. Maybe even remove Lifebane Zombie for a Plague Engineer. But I know there's a lot of green-white stuff right now between the Titan decks, between Heliod Company. This actually looks pretty damn good in the current metagame. So, well, I mean, at least on the play. I don't know how well it's going to perform on the draw. But I would consider keeping this. I would consider maybe moving up on this if Plague Engineer isn't well positioned, because otherwise the one of Lifebane Zombie is a bit weird. So is there any? Let's see. Oh, you wanted to help with my mana base versus Blood Moon, and I wanted to add vials. Okay, vials are good. Oh, this is your list? Yeah, if you wanted to add vials, can't tell whose list it is. If you want to add vials, probably the easiest thing to do, maybe remove some Relentless Deads and definitely a land. Maybe probably one snow-covered island, maybe one snow-covered swamp, and boom, you got it. You're good to go, I think, from that point. You can add and just have 21 lands. I think 21 lands in your build is just going to be important. You can include Agadim's Awakening as a land, just so you can curve out and get your 3-drops online. Anyway, good luck with the deck. I think it's nice. We actually have seen a lot of zombie decks on this Coffee and MTG. And then, of course, they went on to become Dono decks on Aspiring Spike's channel, and he's got 5 zeros with them. Zombies is possible, people. Zombies is possible. Helith. Taking a sip of my delicious coffee here. And you're welcome, Jake. All right, we've got some sort of aggro deck. So Bomac Courier. How long was this in Modern and underrated? Like, every deck is playing Bomac Courier now. It's definitely, it's been in the format for fucking forever. Look at that format symbol. That's Kaladesh. And now all of a sudden it's just seeing play. Basically, if you have red in your deck, you might as well run it. Okay, Swift Spear, Soulscar Mage, Vexing Devil, Luris of the Dream Den. 4 of them. Lightning Bolt, Boros Charm, Lightning Helix, Skullcrack. So this is like almost like an aggro / burn deck. An Implement of Combustion. Sacrifice, it deals 1 damage target player. If it is put in the graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Interesting. Seal of Fire. I don't know if I can be online with this card. Spiring Vantage, Mountain, Plains. We gotta get rid of these Plains people. Sacred Foundry, Sunbreak Canyon. Soul Guide Lantern, that's fine. Especially with the old Lurises, Core Firewalker, Roiling Vortex, Smash the Smithereens, Kozilek's Return. Okay, so first off, no. If you keep doing this, the mods are gonna come get you. I have no idea what you're talking about, to be honest. Let's see. Okay, so first off, Vexing Devil is not the greatest card. I still don't even know if it's worth it in this deck. I don't mind Luris. You have enough permanents to bring back between your creatures and especially Seal of Fire. Okay, I'm gonna be lenient on this card because maybe with Luris this is really good. I will say this though, you have not enough lands in this deck. You should try to get up to at least 20. I think 20 would be a good number, so that you have some chance in hell of casting this Luris on curve. Now, it could be wrong. Maybe you just need 19, because you do have Bomac Courier to help draw some cards in some situations. Implement of Combustion by itself should be worth. But it's like, it's 2 mana, though. It's 2 mana to draw a card. I think that's sort of crappy. I really like the value you get from Seal of Fire and Luris of the Dream Den. Spending 2 mana to deal 1 damage and draw a card is just Yuck. I'm not sure on this one. Like, you know what? Like, I think you'd get more value out of light up the stage, for example, if you had more light up the stages. Vexing Devil is like not the greatest card. He's the trick with Vexing Devil. No one's made it work. Yeah, it was like Vexing Devil. Yeah, I know. No one's made Vexing Devil work. And it's like it's sort of a and the reason is this. You cast the Vexing Devil. Your opponent now has a choice. If they can't deal with a 4/3 creature, they'll take 4 damage. And you would think that would be good for you, but the fact of the matter is your opponent will always make the choice that benefits them. And then they're like, well, do you know what? I've got a removal spell in my hand, so I'll just let it resolve, and then they'll use up the removal spell. Yeah, so here's the deal. I don't like Vexing Devil. I'm going to take a wild guess. It is not going to work in this deck. But because you have Lurrus, you could try it out. But this would definitely be one of the first cards I'm cutting in this deck list for sure to make room for other things. Honestly, like, okay, my honest suggestion is I want to cut Vexing Devil. I want to cut Implement of Combustion. I want to add 2 more lands, because you would get 8 cards out of this. With that 8 cards, 2 more Light Up the Stage, 2 more Boros Charm, 2 more Skullcrack, and that might be good enough. I don't mind. Lurrus with Seal of Fire looks awesome. Lurrus with Bomat Courier looks awesome. I like that you can get these 2 cards. And no matter what, you're going to get like a bunch of other stuff too. Now let's talk about the mana base. This deck can't afford even a single plane. You could have maybe 1 planes, but that's still pretty greedy, I think. And especially in this list, 3 planes. You have 15 mountains in this deck to cast your spells. Now, mind you, don't have any double red stuff, so maybe you can get away with it, but you're still pretty red intensive. Okay, hold on. So if you have 20, just trying to think. You think you'll have the planes overall by the time you put Lurrus. I know you need like, oh, you want 2 okay, you might want 2 planes just to cast Lurrus. Okay, if you go up to 20 lands, 2 planes, I'll get behind this. So that you can fight through Blood Moon, for example, and cast Lurrus still. And you don't have any double red cards in your deck. You're not running like Searing Blood, Searing Blaze. So single red is like, you could use the colorless for Skullcrack. You can use colorless for Bomat Courier. But that's about it. Oh no, you can use the white for Boros Charm and Lightning Helix. Is Lurrus in the main better than as a companion? Good question. I don't know. But there's a lot of decks that have jammed Lurrus in the main just because they don't want to take the time to like put it into their hand. So nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you don't have to take a turn off to put in a hand. Well, it's like a poor man's yeah, that's the thing. I would not want to spend 2 mana on. I would rather have Bauble, to be honest. I mean, if you want to put Bauble in here, I could get behind that. And I would still take out the Vexing Devil and add in two more lands and like 2 Boros Charms or something. Yeah, that's a good. Actually, I don't know why I didn't think about that. Yeah, Mishra's Bauble is totally fine. Because it's just a random card. Like, this does deal damage, but it's 2 mana. Mishra's Bauble costs nothing, and you draw a card. So you're just drawing a card every turn, and also you can get that online by turn 3. So you, like, play Lurrus, get back Bauble, that's it. That's value. That's value that you can't get back. Whether it's Implement of Combustion, you better have 4 mana up when you play Lurrus and get this thing back. You know what I mean? Think you need Wear and Tear for this deck? Let's see if there's Wear and Tear. There is no Wear and Tear. Why do we need Wear and Tear? For Blood Moon, I think the deck will be reasonable under a Blood Moon. I think it'll be reasonable. Spiring Vantage, 4 Mountain, 3 Plains, 3 Sacred Foundry. Should have 4 Sacred Foundry, 1 less Plains. That's like the easiest adjustment. 4 Sacred Foundry, 1 less Plains. You should have. Oh, I'll say another thing. Like, there's no point in having. Well, there is some point in having some Plains in your deck, but you should have fetch lands if you're gonna have this many planes in your deck. Otherwise, I would have 1 planes in my deck. So you have like something to get with Ghost Quarter. Do you have enough white sources? 4, 8, 14. Not really. So like with those 2 more lands, I would get 2 more whites, like red white sources, like fetch lands, for example. Yeah, but this might be on a slight budget. Are we on a budget here? Is there any notes? Whenever I don't see fetch lands, I think this is budget. So we might be on a budget. If that's true, still get the Sacred Foundry, cut a plains, and add 2 more, either, I don't know, 2 more mountains, or scrap together 2 fetch lands somehow. Go get them. Arid Mesas might be tough because those are the OG ones. Soul Guide Lantern is great. Core Firewalker is great. Whirling Vortex is great. Smash Smithering is great. Is Kozilek's Return great in this deck? I guess so. It's not the best. It's not the best deck for Kozilek's Return. I guess it's okay. Kills off your Bomat Courier and your Luris. But, you know, your Prowess creatures will be protected. Anyway, so this might just be better off as a Mishra's Bauble. It's just easier to do. Because if this could target creatures, this could be very different, because there are a decent chunk of 1 toughness creatures in the game, but it's only target player. So you just might be better off just casting something for 0 and using your mana for something else. As a semi-budget land, what do you think about the pathways in the 2-color deck? Perfect. I think they're great. I think the pathways are the absolute... First off, they're not even that bad, period. They might be what your deck needs to avoid things like choke and boil and certain land hate. But they are great. Pathways are fantastic in budget decks, especially... And, you know, we wouldn't even be bad in this red deck because... it wouldn't even be bad in this red deck because of... you know, what is Blood Moon going to do? I mean, it can shut off Luris. It can shut off, like, some of the white sources for Boros Charm and Lightning Helix. But for the most part, you can still cast your spells. So it's like it's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world whatsoever. Pathways are great. What is the Boros pathway? How about Battlefield Forge as a dual land? How expensive are those? My only problem is that, like, they're like... I think they cost money and they deal damage to you. Oh no, they're pretty cheap. I still don't recommend it. It's like you're just dealing damage to yourself. If pathways are I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. It might be better than nothing, but I would rather go for a pathway. Getting heavily played foreign fetches have saved me a lot of money. That's right. You want to save money? You go foreign. They're worth less because no one wants to play with like Italian and Portuguese and Spanish and well, in general, like even if you have Japanese cards, like Americans don't want to buy these things, so you can't even sell them to you can't even sell them to local game stores. Like they have a niche market, even like, you know, Japanese, Korean, Russian. They're more expensive because they have a niche market, but like in general, local game stores don't even want to buy them from you because they have a hard time selling them. So basically, if you're willing to buy like random language foreign cards, I'll save you money. And then if you buy them really beat up, you can save a lot more money. Then all of a sudden you're paying 1/3 of the price for the card, and it's still tournament legal. Is the review deck for only competitive level decks? It's no, actually, just anything except Commander, because I can't get through all the Commander cards. But oh, is the Needle Verge Pathway? Is it out already? Or is this one of the new ones? Needle Verge Pathway. This is the older one. Yeah, so this is like this is a pretty good I think a budget card. What is it? $4? $2? Oh, $2 at $2. $2.50. $2.50. You can't go wrong, people. You can't go wrong. I mean, that's almost as much as the fucking Battlefield Forge, except this one isn't going to deal damage to you. I can totally get behind this. Okay, so that's it for Decklist review. Thank you very much, everyone, for showing up today. I appreciate everyone showing up for Coffee and MTG. We had a great conversation. How do I get rid of this stupid banner? Go away. Thank you very much. As usual, I mean, if I didn't get to your comments or questions, remember, we do this Mondays to Fridays, 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time to around 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. And yeah, thank you very much for showing up. So if I didn't get to your comments or questions or your deck lists, there's always another day. So it always gives you another reason to show up every single day to Coffee and MTG. So, well, you're going to get banned. Okay, sorry, Metric. Goodbye. So thank you very much for showing up to Coffee and MTG. Thank you very much for all your questions and comments. We had a really good conversation, and we're probably going to see some spoilers coming up over the next few days. And also, we are probably going to be looking at some vintage decks because more people are going to have to prepare for vintage for the Mana Trader series. So as usual, keep brewing up those coffees, and we'll keep brewing up Magic. See you next time.